Da 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 da. Pop our chat. I'll wait a little bit. Maybe 5 minutes. Actually, no. Let's wait 2 minutes until people settle in. Cause well, like a lot of people are going back to work and everything. I understand that nobody really watching stream anyways, and plus, we are sort of like a very unpopular channel at the moment. So I'm just gonna start talking. I have about 6 different agendas I want to cover today, and if you missed a stream today, then just rewatch the entire video. If not, then I mean you're missing out. So basically, if you look at the calendar I have, right now is September 19th, and we have a big option exploration day that ends on September 17th, which is the mid-September exploration, and then you have another one expires around like October 1st. But because it is, another one, sorry, my bad. Another one is on the 24th and the 1st. But if you go online and look at any small cap stock, like let's just say, give me an example of Mmat, right? You will see a lot of quarterly options are priced. You see the September one. This is one of the most important expiration day in the entire year in terms of like a quarterly options. And we all know that big players like BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, you name it, right? Barclay, whatever. These boys trade quarterly options. Why? Because when you have a quarterly option, when you have state of decay goes like this, right? It decays normally flat at first, right? Let's say if you're doing a quarterly option, then you basically just use this graph over a quarter period of time. So this is like 1/4. So for the big boys, they're probably just gonna buy in, around like mid-June, and then by the 17th, they sort of wanna test out the water a little bit, trying to figure out like what is going on, like whether the options they sold back in June is still in the money or out of the money, or they're hoping everything is expired or worthless, and you have the call options that they placed, that they bought, they hopefully like everything is higher than that, and we can even backtrack and test it out and see if their big positions are really getting anywhere. So if you go back and look at like the mid-June, ish, like right now we're almost at the same amount of, like, in terms of money wise, everything is almost in the money. So if they bought quarterly calls, they probably all of their positions are in the money, really, like except for like last week, people trying to squash the entire market down because the uncertainty and everything. And this is just a GME situation where I do think everybody loved the $200 mark because it's a very juicy number to be at. So one of the things I want to talk about today is, on Patreon, we always talk about like, we have daily gambling moves, right? Every single day we upload and sort of update it every single morning or in the afternoon, depending on the market condition. And a lot of those gambling moves, especially like in the money option plays, and especially sort of like very on time, sort of like entry point, for example, Valentine or Geo or Lucid or whatever, right? Like a lot of those plays, I'm pretty sure like 80 or 90% of all those like gambling plays, including 23andMe, and shout out to Ling Ling who made money on that, and all of those made people money, right? That's why people are really happy on Patreon. So one of the gambling plays I want to point out right now, or as far as today goes, is I want to talk about GME. You can actually, depending on the order flow, right? Depending on the order flow of next week. Right now we're at a sort of like an inflection point or a pivot point, whatever you call that. And there are two ways the stock can go, right? Again, it's more about confirmation bias, where you either V-shaped recovery, go up to where it was, and the institutional investors, if they actually bought calls, they bought quality calls, they're trying to make it be in the money, then they want the stock to be over $220. But if they actually have a put position, they have a, let's just say they have an in the money put position right around June 17th, then this part is really explainable, right? Because they want to squash it under $200. So if it's under $200 or 220 or 216, then they're great. And then by the end of the option expiration, they close their positions, then they're fine, right? If they sold call options at 230, or in this case, they probably sell call options at, let's see, they probably sell call options around 230. They probably have the sold call option 230. So then you will have a dilemma of GME is, okay, so if I want to a profit off of institutions movement, and I want to profit out of like what retail would do, right? Then the price range is probably gonna go from like 230 to about here, right? Like 182, like 183, something around here. And then depending on the volatility going into the week, you can place a $200, you have to pay a $200 call like around 190, around 182. That's why like on Friday, I didn't really look at GME. If I look at GME, I'm probably gonna maybe consider buying some call options. But it really depends, because the entire market, like next week, so traditionally what happens, right? So let's talk about data beforehand. So traditionally around this option exploration, what's going to happen is, okay, everybody knows that this is one of the biggest option exploration sort of week, because obviously if you look at the calendar, right, the 24th one isn't big. What we call the 24th one is we call the third or third quarter. We call the third quarter readjustment date, expiration date. That means whatever happens on the 17th dictates the order flow on the 24th, right? And then the 24th move into October 1st. Then it's another sort of story, because it really on the 24th or on the week of the 25th. The Powell's gonna come talk, FOMC meeting and everything. So basically everybody's banking on this week, right? So everybody, depending on where the rumor, what of the street is, the stock market is gonna either take a dive to a, we're looking at a around like 9% to 12% correction, which I don't think it will happen, but a lot of people are saying it would. I just think it's too soon yet. I think the correction will happen after a SOMC meeting, right? So this week is basically battling, right? Okay, traditionally speaking is, so on the week of September 17th, 2020 week, you will see a lot of IV reversal. That means a lot of implied volatility, for example, like stocks like, let's take one of our favorite stocks, right? Mmat, right? One of our favorite stocks, or more like the favorite stock to sort of scope, favorite stock to day trade, favorite stock to sort of punish retail flow, sell options and buy options. And a lot of Patreon members know that we post like sort of like not really like a play by play, but very detailed explanation of why at this point switch $3 calls, switch selling $3 calls will make you more money, and utilizing leverage to use that, right? And then sorry about like I've been a little bit sick for the past few days, so I haven't been like really up to date for a lot of videos, because there are a lot of things you can talk about MMT, because MMT is actually leading a lot of small basket stock. If you look at BBIG, right, you will see that, hey, things are looking a little bit similar. You see? Even though BBIG sort of break out the trend a little bit, and then it want to like further go up to $11. I bought some puts on Friday. But again, like Friday is an abnormality, because Nasdaq usually don't really go down by the end of the market end. It's when the news of Afghanistan, the oil news, right, and you have like the new wave of cracking down in China, like everything adds up together. Like it makes Nasdaq traders like, oh my god, like in the morning it looks pretty good, and in the afternoon I decide to sell off, and look at the option, the big option expiration date on the 17th. I don't really want to risk it, right? That's why like last weekend or last Friday, people like pull out a little bit, and all of these like red candles are really expected really. So right now MMT, what MMT is really doing is, okay, so I have a sort of like an option put wall around $6, and I have like a call floor at 5 and at 4. But the problem is okay, so if everything will go as traditionally the 917 week will go, that means all of the previous high IV trades, the very high IV trades, right? So let's say like IV over 100%. So you have like MMT options like 200%, 233%. Let me show you, okay? All of these options are supposed to revert to a low IV situation. So if you go and look at this option chain, right? So if I'm just saying, if everything goes the way not is supposed to, but like history, then you will see this IV reversal, IV reversal, IV reversal, IV reversal, IV reversal. All of these will have either the IV of opposite direction. Right now it's a positive direction, right? So right now the IV is a positive direction. You will see a positive direction switching towards a negative direction. So what will happen is that the $1 call is not going to be as profitable by the end of expiration day. And then the $3, same thing, 2.2, 1.2, 0.55, same thing, right? So basically Monday and Tuesday, if people are feeling confident or they're like, okay, so let's put it on the face into the market, you might see a rebound, and that will be like the highest it will go, right? And traditionally what people will do is, because all of these IV are so high, they started selling a bunch of cover calls, right? They started selling a lot of cover calls. This is why we have to talk about this like this week. Like we have to talk about this Sunday. Why? Because this year the market reacted the opposite of what usually it sort of reacts. So if we use that logic, then it really depending on what happens on Mondays and Tuesday, we might even see a very small squeeze, because institutions were inclined to start selling cover calls on all of these like high IV situations, right? And you can even like start making iron butterfly claws on that, which I think is a really, really good place, because if you look at all of the implied volatility, it really is, you know, a great play to make by the end of next week. But if, you know, the retail investor decided to squash the institutional money, then what they would do is, okay, I don't care how much money I lose, I would just start buying, like I start stacking $4 calls or start stacking $5 calls. Or like even if FOMO better, you start stacking $6 calls. Depending on when they start to stack, you will see a temporary like reversal on a stock. But eventually on the 17th, all of the IVs will revert back to where it should be at, or on the 24th, right? Or like extending to next week. So don't be scared if you're selling cover calls. I mean, we're not financial advisors. We do not give financial advices. Everything we say on this channel is just okay goes, right? Let's just say, you know, I have some cover call positions that I sold, right? And then by the end of 17th, it almost feels like, you know, things are getting in the money. What I can do is I can roll it, because I don't intend to see a huge news coming out on the week of 25th, except for Bitcoin news. So for those of you who are in Bitcoin, be a little bit careful, because, you know, the Fed Bitcoin news might have a huge impact on the market in general. And if we back to Mmat, sorry about like me being a little bit, you know, scattered, because my minds are scattered, because I gotta make plays on the commodity market, which is oil. I gotta make plays on Mmat, or, you know, all of the stock market plays, and I have to sort of you know, hash my position on Bitcoin, because if there's good news coming out on the week of 25th, we will see all of the previous shorting positions getting squashed right here, right? You will see this is shorting, right? This is actually shorting. We were anticipating a short squeeze over here, but it didn't happen because we don't seem to have anything to support that kind of price action. So right now we're sort of like getting trapped in this situation. So if short squeeze happens, if there's super good news coming out on the week of 25th, then you will see a breakout, right? And again, this is Ethereum, right? You will see a breakout to all-time high Ethereum, or it will break out of this trend. And then when it break out of this trend, then we'll further test it at 29 like 80 or 70, and in this case 29.60 over here. Okay, this is Ethereum. And for those of you who are in AEI and Charles, I know you're gonna come back and look at this live stream. I'm just wanting you to know that, you know, our I think it's a month or 2 months ago, Your entry point is what? I think it's 2.20 or 2.02, something like that, like something around there, right? I think it's 2.02, no? Like sandwich money. Right now, we already hit our price target, and we do believe, especially in Patreon, we do believe that AEI does have a further run due to a lot of the indicators are showing. So we plan to add in the next few months or next few weeks, depending on how the market goes, right? And then vaccine stock, same thing, right? Vaccine stock, because you know, if so, basically what's gonna happen is, if next week the new COVID data coming out and it's getting pretty bad, vaccine stock rebound. Again, Moderna is a little bit overextended, but for those of you, again, Moderna is the key critical strike here is for 450. If we see Moderna stabilize as a 450 by the end of the expiration date, which is 9/17/2021, then we will see a small gamma squeeze by the end of this week. So keep tuned for. I think I'm pretty sure 80% of all my Patreon members have built up positions around 292, 260, 269, and I posted again over here about 321. And I think we also did like 2, 3 something. I mean, it's like we like per share basis we made like over 100 something bucks. So like 360. I'm pretty sure like some of you have 360 position. I have 350 positions. I have 269 position, 350 position, 369 position. And yeah, that's about it. And then we also made some plays with $400 calls and everything. But those are very timely, and for those of you who are interested in those kind of plays, go check out Patreon. But again, like 450, right? 450. If we can stabilize at 450, you will see a small squeeze on Moderna. And then next week, Tesla, very interesting. This is all Kathy, right? That's why Kathy is in the thumbnail. Kathy dumped about a couple million shares of Tesla. I think there's a reason behind it. I think she's either eyeing for sort of like two new plays she has in mind, or she's just trying to preserve capital and see if market correction happens, then she's probably gonna buy in. And also one of her favorite stock, like Hood is also in a very interesting situation where $40 is basically like a soft ceiling floor right here, right? Because nobody is really trying to sell at 40. We all know it's worth more than 40. So then depending on how we're gonna you sort of like interpret the RSI and how the entire market goes. Because if the entire market goes down, that means retail flow goes down. Then Hood will probably break down again. But again, Hood made a couple of acquisitions and their business is transitioning. And I plan, if I have more liquidity coming out, I plan to buy at least 100 shares of Hood and then sort of play the sell CC for fixed income sort of play. Okay. And I know one of you want to know about AMC. I haven't looked at the chat. Very popular channel in my heart. What would happen to IV for options that are really far out, like March 2022? Why the 25th? So basically, if you're buying March 2022, it's not really a good place to buy as of last Friday. You wanna buy. So how IV works is, so the essence of trading stocks is you have an IV. When IV is super low, you can expect it to go high in a very short period of time or in a long period, depending on the year that you're trading on, right? So eventually, by a certain option expiration day, when you have IV that are super, super low, then you will have a spike in IV going up. That means, either the IV or put is, basically the stock would probably like shoot up in a short period of time to prepare for a gamma squeeze, right? March 2020. So you wanna buy, or if I'm buying March 2022 option calls, then I will probably looking to buy it January instead of right now, because I don't want to make a half-year leave call, especially in such a uncertain market, unless you're making multi-leg spreads. If it's a multi-leg spread, then you probably can do it, but right now it's super risky, especially when the premiums are super high. I'm assuming you were trading like small caps. Yeah, small caps premiums are way too high right now. It's really bad to make leap year calls. And I know a lot of you are here not for MMAT, quote unquote, but even though like a lot of you are here for MMAT, even though you hate my content, but it still follows my price projection for some reason, which I think next time will just be only subscribers can watch my video if I can set it like that. But again, like we've been talking about this, September, October, what's missing, right? Not priced. And also, it's just not normal for CEOs to come out and talk about short squeezing. The more he talks about it, the worse it gets. And if you go and look at short volume, you will see that right now, small cap short volume is actually not that huge right now, right? Because what they're looking at is, okay, so retail will behave exactly the opposite of what institution will behave. So basically, they expect that it got pumped up a little bit, or people just FOMO more calls. Then by the end of this option exploration, they can basically sort of squash you by the next month, right? This is what the institution are thinking on small caps. And then again, hedge funds are adapting. Hedge funds are adapting to sort of the retail flow right now. So hey, what's up, Charles? I was just talking about you. Hedge funds are really adapting to the retail flow right now. So the more you trade, the more data you give them, and then the more you are very stagnant in the way how you trade. Basically, give them a window to sort of make more money out of your FOMO calls or options. And on Patreon we talk about the yearly projection, right? We talk about like how this number will go to 20,000 and this number will go to 15,000. And if you are a seasoned market maker, or if you're seasoned in a hedge fund, then you probably will try to squash this, squash that. And this is definitely squashed, right? Because this is a soft line of gamma squeeze soft line of $8. The probability of it hitting that is pretty low, because if you look at if you look at the actual like adjustable price range, you will see that you have a lot of like volume exhaustion over here, even though the only reason that the price can stabilize at like 5.5 range or whatever is because literally nobody's really shorting that much. Like your average volume is over here. Like all of the big volume is gonna come in like next week, either short it or go long on it, right? But the problem is, go long on it, you're betting on the roll to roll production value. It's not gonna come out until mid-November, and then by mid-November, you have the nanotech security sort of secured its acquisition, and then you have the Q3 data coming out. It's not gonna look that great because they're gonna see a significant revenue contraction. And if you are a seasoned fundamental value investor, you actually don't see value in this. Like around $3, right? We see value in this, right? That's why we have anchoring like $3 yearly leap options, like building up all the way over here, right? When back then we don't have a sufficient or enough DD to really have the conclusion that we have right now on this stock. And I have the very controversial selling opposition or whatever, but that doesn't matter, right? Me and number two already have a huge conversation. We talk about like, I don't really care about what comments say anymore. I'm just gonna put out the content, honest content that I want to put out. It doesn't really matter. Like subs, it doesn't really matter. Viewers just doesn't really matter. By the end of the day, we're gonna be right anyways. So right now, it's semi overextended. But when you see a real overextension is when RSI actually reaching to $81. Then it will be the actual peak. But the thing is, RSI is actually calculated by previous gains and previous losses. So the problem here is the previous gains and previous losses are very, very inconsistent. So the true RSI right now is somewhere around like 68 to 65. If you look at the aftermarket volume and if you look at like all of the aftermarket gains. And then next week, sure, it will shoot up like closer to 7 maybe, but that's like super optimistic. If that happens, then all of us who are selling covered CCs, then we'll see a huge payday on that day when you switch and play with IV. And then by the end of the week, option exploration. And especially like one of the problems that people don't see here is, to be honest, I stopped looking at MMT every now and then. I buy some options here and there when scalping, but I'm all out in terms of stocks. I'm actually watching Bitcoin right now, specifically Bitcoin miner. When will Tesla spit? Why would you say Hey, what's up, Tech Junkie? What would you say like Tesla split? I'll cover that. So one of the things that people don't realize is this: all of these premiums are gonna decrease like dramatically by the end of option expiration day if the stock have a significant downward movement. Because theta decay started coming in, and we cannot see all the Greeks for this option, but when you can see all the option Greeks, all the thetas are incorrect right now as of this week. But again, next week is very, very important. It sort of dictates what's going to happen in the next Q3. If there's a huge correction, then Q3 is actually looking pretty good because we'll see a small correction and sort of building up volume. If we still see a bunch of FOMOs, then I'll be worried about a huge crash by the end of this year. So I think some of you asked about Tesla, which is zero. What's up, dude? Zero. Let's look at Tesla option chain. Why would you say that Tesla want to have a split? You think is the price is overextended? I honestly think $700 is not really justifiable, but it is what it is, you know. A lot of people are buying like this, like they're buying like I don't understand. They're probably just profiting out of IV right now. Like look at all of these, because they're cheap, right? All of the things like in the money. Wait a second. If we want to see Tesla, you really want to see the yearly projection here. Let's look at open interest. Ooh, we have some $1,000 Tesla players. Yeah, 800 is reasonable. D121 is super safe. This is probably the institution person. And let's see what else. Yeah, the 700 one is very reasonable too. Especially they probably placed it on around like mid this year to June. So this is really good play by them. When do I think there's gonna be a reverse? A split, not reverse split. I think by the end of this, actually depending on how they're gonna play on Q3. Yeah, depending on how they're gonna play Q3 and Q4, I think it's not gonna be anytime soon. Really, I don't think. Is there even any news out? Yeah, it happens on 2020. I don't think because when you do a split, you sort of anticipate the market to sort of FOMO it a little bit, even though the actual value doesn't change. But I think whenever Tesla do a split, what they usually do is oh my God, stop putting political propaganda on my stream. So what happens is you see when Elon or the CFO of Tesla usually pick a really good timing for the split, and the split usually happens when they anticipate a huge market flow coming in. So if there is actually a market movement going down, and then during the recovery from the correction, they probably will announce a split. I think that's what's gonna happen. Will Tesla split before it goes to three? Of course, I think $1,000 they should probably do a split. Do you think the inflation data will be lower than projection? And if it's lower than projection, would they imply that the Fed pausing taper talks? No, if the inflation is lower than projected, then the Fed will probably increase the process of tapering. If the inflation is still high, then yeah, both of the, basically what Powell is trying to say is, okay, like I do see significant progress, right? He thinks it's time to taper because it's been too long. The last taper was at 2014, and then right now it's like 7 years after that. Usually you see a taper every 8 years. So yeah, that's around. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Either this year or next year they should be, especially during a time like this. And you can't have it, like the country simply cannot sustain itself by having such low inflation rate and then have a bunch of quantitative easing, because you're essentially like stack growth upon growth upon growth without any real value. I mean, sure, you say, okay, so let's buy some semiconductor stocks because the shortage and everything, but the shortage also have a sort of like a a long-term or a short-term trajectory in terms of order flow. But anyways, we're not trying to get into that. Or you want to talk about root? Why is people like looking for those stocks? What do they even do? I actually don't know about this. This is another. Ooh, this is danger zone. This is some danger zone stuff. Gotta go look at who's exactly playing this. This is some danger zone stuff. Like, I'd rather probably put some money in Fisker than this. I mean, again, we're long on Fisker. Where's our Fisker boy? Ooh, HMLP is not really doing that well. I mean, Q3 is important. Again, Q3. HMLP, same thing, Q3. Right, it almost reaches $5, so the $5 calls are all like in the money. Right now, you can probably start selling $5 puts, because the break even will be somewhere around like this price, and then depending on where's oil fund. We made some pretty interesting returns on the oil fund. And depending on how this thing works, if this thing gaps up, this is short squeeze. We talked about this. Short squeeze again. Like, people are just like getting short squeeze right away, right here, right? So if oil price rebound, more likely is when the market realizes that the current U.S. supply cannot really sustain the demand. So then, you will see a up to 49 or 50, back to the high level. Then HMLP will do super, super well because it's actually heavily shorted after. Not really heavily shorted. It's just people are really playing off their ears and saying, okay, this is a huge dividend stock, and it's not paying that much dividend, and so they're really worried or whatever, right? I mean, yeah, I probably will just I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think Monday I'm probably just gonna sell like some $5 puts and see how that goes. I might even add some. This is actually a pretty good opportunity to add some. I mean, again, we have other anchoring positions, right? Like, as long as our anchoring positions are good, like even Fider, right? Like Fider, we're anticipating like good news with booster shot and anticipate the new sort of their new FDA approved stuff was doing pretty well. Again, like there's a soft ceiling at 45.50. So if everything works as it should, then I'm pretty sure Pfizer's IV just got squashed last Friday. Yeah, you look at this. All of the IVs are getting squashed. Oh my god. This is great. Okay, this is actually pretty good. So when we talk about IV reversal, you all know that IV reversal, right? These are all IV reversals. It's like the opposite of MMHE. Interesting. I think the market is making huge plays. Fascinating. I like that. So this is definitely going to be on a watch list. NBR? What the heck is NBR? Geothermal? Dude, who cares about oil called geothermal, dude? Nobody cares about the dividend payment anymore. Like, okay, you get like 10 cents per dividend. It's like super, super good. I don't even think they're gonna sell it. I don't think they're able to sell it. If they cannot sell it, then I'm pretty sure they're gonna take the easiest way out and just cancel all of the preferred shares. Because if they're trying to, because either way they will probably get in trouble unless we misread or didn't read that there's some random bylaws or fine print and saying there's a spin-off that already happened by the merger close. If not, then you skipped AMC. I'll look at AMC. Yeah, AMC is like a little bit weird right now. You have a soft ceiling at 50, 51. It's depending on how formal it gets Monday morning. You probably will see where AMC is gonna buy Monday morning, right? But you have the option squash The option squash is from $43 to $50. It has a huge range. Usually, I would. I'm just on Friday. I told my Patreon members. I said I'm gonna steer away from MMC like for this week. And I still have some shares that have like a like a $38 cost basis and $28 cost basis. But all of those trades I talked about it on YouTube and certainly talked about it on Patreon, right? But right now, like $51 calls are super overpriced, like absolutely super overpriced. Let's look at if you have any ivory reversal plays that you can play. You probably should just make an iron butterfly. Just make an iron butterfly play and then sort of like play off of. Oh my god! You just play off of all of the IV reversal stuff. Yeah. Hopefully, not a lot of people are selling $50 calls or buying $50 calls. Either way, the hedge funds will learn and sort of squash it by the end of next Friday. This Friday actually, because it's Sunday already. So be careful with whatever you enter on AMC. Honestly, I do think GME is a better play here, but hey, like who do I know, right? Losing subscribers every single day. Is SCHN another penny stock? Oh, it's not. What do they even do? Interesting. Steel. Interesting. So what's the edge here? Why? Why are we buying into this? Tell me why. What is this stock? I think, did John left? I think he left. All right, I think yeah, AMC risky, very risky, very risky, very risky. Um, for AI, we're doing fine. Validine is just a long-term investment right now. Option chain. It's a very tricky one because the range is huge. If a $2.5 range. You see, so all of the people selling puts here are not making a profit. And this is making profit if you're selling puts here. So probably should do a safety spread. Probably I think Iron Condor is pretty good. I mean, again, IV reversal a little bit. This is significantly lower IV here, especially for a small cap and VLDR. But yeah, who asked this one? You gotta tell me what's your edge here. Like, what do you see? Because it keeps going down and down. That's why you think it's just gonna rebound a little bit. Or like, is there any news we're going by? How is CCQ looking? I have some shares in the call for this week. SQQQ. Didn't it have an increase like last week? Yeah, I have a pretty big soft increase last week. Yeah, we all have $7 calls. Pretty sure like most people on Patreon have $7 calls. This one is not as great as the one night I exited on Friday. I think I still have one more share. Where is it? Right here. So $20 call around this day. Pretty good. Like a 40 to 50% increase for like 2 or 3 contracts. It's pretty good. But yeah, if you are looking to see a sort of like a market huge reaction and panic, but the Monday flow is more important than ever. I'm just saying, like next week is gonna dictate what's gonna happen for the remaining year. I think this is it. It's what, 42 minutes now. I think yeah, I think we should. I'll entertain last minute questions for the next 4 minutes, and if there are not questions, then I will just log off. And for those of you who haven't got a time to watch this video, go look at it, right? Or just listen to it as a podcast. Since you guys are still asking questions, let's look at MBR. What the heck is MBR? Damn. Damn, dude, Diddler is getting good at picking stocks. Look at this one. Where did you find this one? This one is also on the verge of breakout. But it's danger though. There's some danger zone here. The beta towards market, I think the beta is too high. Yeah, you see there's a ceiling at 86. Like this 86 ceiling, you really need double the volume of this day to really see it happen. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of crashing for MBR. Swabby? Yeah, I like Swabby. MBR. Let me finish this. MBR stock option chain. I'm actually curious. What do MBR do? Oh yeah, so it got locked down. It got really locked down. It got also there's no there's actually no one playing options on this. Yo, this might actually be a pretty interesting play here. Interesting. Yeah, the 55. Wait, when did the 55 happen? Oh, that makes sense. The 55 got reverted. Oh, this might actually be a pretty good play here. Interesting. Yeah, this actually might be a pretty good play here. Put that on a yo Zero. Put that in a watch list, and if it breaks out, we can trade breakout on intraday. So maybe to look to pull back my position. We don't give financial advices. Like, what do you mean, like SQQQ? So if you're buying SQQQ calls, what you're really saying is, okay, so right now it's 7.5, which is like basically the same as basically late October, not October, August. So then what you're saying is, when I'm buying those calls, I'm looking at to go over $8. This is what you're saying, the soft underlying statement. And you're looking and you're predicting, or you're speculating that the 15 MA is gonna start meeting the 5 MA, and the 5 MA slopes can drastically increase over the next 2 or 3 days, and volume will be 2 times that. So you're basically looking at a 4% to 5% correction on the Nasdaq, or SP or SPY. But the thing is, if you look at the probability of, if you do some data wrangling, the probability of a huge candle down and a gap down, now it looks pretty likely, right? But the problem is, those are rarely on a Monday, because Monday are option flowing days, you see? Like last week, it's just a reversal because people are realizing that 17th is one of the most important option expiration day. That's why they're sort of like pulling back a little bit. So you probably should just observe. I'm assuming that you entered small position. If you enter small position, then be careful. Right, like small position, you can also save it with like just one contract. You can actually offset it by do a multi-leg strategy, or just cover it a little bit and see how it goes, right? Or just close it a little bit and see how it goes. Right now, like our trading style sort of changed a little bit. We stopped making like super risky calls. We were moving towards more like a fundamental focused. Fourth quarter pay, hunting season in the U.S. Third and fourth quarter, swappy. So yeah. I do think Swabi's soft price target is $26. I think at least it can break out of 25. I think. Okay. The problem with Swabi is they have a lot of sales, and they're anticipating a lot of sales, especially during Thanksgiving, and right. But the problem is, due to COVID, the entire gun supply chain have a problem right now. Okay, I was gonna talk about this in Patreon and make a DD about it, but then I realized I probably should just put it on my main YouTube channel anyways. There's a huge supply chain problem with gun, especially with the rare earth material in China, and the exportation chain and the exportation chain. So the huge problem of SWABI is SWBI is you have sales, but you have lost sales. Lost sales means, let's just say Charles decided to come in. Charles said, so Charles coming in, right? Charles says, hey, I want to buy one, gun, right? And then, SWABI is like, oh, sorry, we don't have the gun that you want. And then, Zero come in and says, hey, I want to buy the same gun as Charles because we're buddy-buddy. And he's like, oh, we don't have the gun. So the actual demand, right? So the actual demand is huge than supply. So you actually will see a gun shortage in the United States, which I do think this is a good play. I have a $21 call and I have $22.50 call, but it's just too expensive. Can you look for BTCM for March and option flow? BTCM, oh, the Chinese Bitcoin miner? Nah, this triangular closing out. Plus the huge Bitcoin crackdown. It really depending on what they're mining, really. Nah, I told you multiple times in Discord. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna really look at it. But in terms of like a technical analysis point of view, it sort of goes like that, right? Breaks out, then it will further test this, but I doubt it, depending on how much their asset and how much wattage they're really mining. But this is probably, yeah, I think this is IV, fairly low IV on a Friday. So according to the IV reversal sort of logic, then the IV will probably change drastically by the end of next week. This week, I mean. What? Where did you get all these stocks, Zero? CHPT. Yo, just yo, Zero, don't forget to put that into the chart point. Isn't there a thing called plug power or something? If we were entering this as Patreon, we probably should enter the entire basket and just start like. This is actually fairly cheap. I actually don't know the fundamentals of this company. Interesting. Ooh, very healthy flow right here. Very healthy flow. This is probably like some trader's heaven right here. Very healthy flow. Very healthy flow. Interesting. Put that into the watch list too. This one we can make some iron butterfly, like around this part. I will explain what iron butterfly is and make sort of like a little tutorial on Patreon first, and I'll post that a little bit later, like a simpler version on YouTube. But the big example is gonna be on Patreon, as you guys requested on Patreon. I just think the YouTube community should also get a little benefit from all of your requests. Yeah, like right here, can make an IV play right here. Interesting. I can just see it where it's gonna go in. Jesus, this is interesting. All of the RSI lockdowns are fascinating. Like even Apple, right? We went in after market. We went in like before market close, I think. Apple, I posted something. And then after market, it sort of reached 149, and then people are just like, nah, I don't really want to FOMO this a little bit. Again, like huge 3% decrease. Like whenever Apple have a huge decrease, it has a very interesting tendency of having a resilience. Apple is a tennis stock. It's always been a tennis stock from a long time, for a long time. Fantastic. This float is very interesting. Ooh. It's consistent. Oh, it's very consistent. It is very consistent, actually. Let's look at it. Oh, especially the new phone announcement, too. Very, very consistent. Let me look at this. Ooh. MMT is also very interesting. But this is Torch. This is not MMAT. We gotta find a way to look at MMATF's previous chart. They literally just don't have any liquidity. I think I'm just gonna end the stream here. I don't really want to like overextend a lot of thoughts. I want to make some small videos and post them a little bit. SLI, good play. I don't think it's really a good entry point, not yet at least. I think we put that on Patreon watch list. But yeah, this is. I have a 10% range to go, a little bit, but they really need to land that contract. All right, I think this is it. Damn, you're in CGC for the late October play. Damn, dude, Zero, got some good interesting stuff going. All right, I think the stream is just gonna end here, and thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. If you have like very specific questions, visit us on Discord. We're pretty active on Discord. We have a pretty like salty member on Discord, the main chat. But hey, you know, we entertain all of the thoughts and we entertain all of the opinions here. And really glad to see you guys coming onto stream today. And yeah, this is probably it. I need to like make all these videos that I said I'm gonna make. Sorry about like being sick a little bit. Next week is indeed very, very important. So be careful. Do not enter huge positions. I mean, if you're just a gambler, then whatever, right? Just YOLO the shit. But again, like we're trying to be consistent and we're trying to sort of build up slowly our portfolio and everything. And as far as right now goes, the Patreon watch list and the Patreon portfolio is doing really, really good. And hopefully you like this video. Thank you, Charles. All right, see you guys on the upside. And hopefully I will get that MMAT video out because me and number 2 listened to the podcast. Now the podcast is like a webcast that what's his name? George did, right? And we found some interesting problems that the community probably not gonna like. But again, we don't care like if people downvote our shit anymore. So